Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Forex with Similar. It's nice having you guys on this channel. In this video is going to be about case study on GBPJPY. GBPJPY is one pair that I do trade sometimes, not every time. But somehow it always finds its way into my watch list. Okay. GBPJPY and GBPUSD kind of move alike. When GJ is buying, GU is likely buying as well. Okay, so this video is going to be about a case study on GBPJPY, and in this video I'll be discussing about all of this price action that happened right here, how you could have capitalized on this sell to make profits in the market. I was able to catch I think 2 moves out of all these moves right here. Yeah, that one was from last week, and I was able to get a sell today on GJ as well, on GJ this week. So starting from the 4 hours time frame, okay, I will be starting from the 4 hours time frame. On the 4 hours time frame, I will be concentrating on the price action at this side, okay, because this is way too back, you understand? So I'll be concentrating on this price action right here, okay? So as you can see, this was like the last eye. If we are to draw a structure out, mark out a structure, this is the last eye that we can see, a visible eye, and this is the last low that we can see. Okay, so this is the last low that we can see right there, and this low, as you can see, broke below all of these structural lows to the left side. So now moving forward, now since we have this high and we have this low marked out on this 4 hours time frame, if we are to mark the structure from this top here to this right here, we will see that we created this high, we created this low, created this high, created this low, created this high, created this low, lower high, this low, this, and finally this low. Okay, so and as you all know, whenever we have a break of structure like this, price will always tend to return back to the inception of that move, or there will likely be a supply zone or an order block that caused the break of structure to the downside. Okay, so price will always want to go back to mitigate such structures, such zones or order blocks. Okay, so and as you can see, just by looking at this all move to the downside, we can see supply zones. We can see this zone right here, and also just above that, we can see this unmitigated supply zone as well right here. Okay, so now when price was moving back up here, if I was on the chart at this present time, I will be looking for price to either mitigate this zone and drop or come to this zone right here. But this would have been my own point of interest, to be very honest, because we have imbalance right here. There's imbalance right here, and sometimes taking trades below imbalance or below an unmitigated supply zone can be a little bit tricky, or should I say dangerous, because you might be used as liquidity if price should break above such levels. Okay, so now at this part, but that notwithstanding, I if you have points of interest like this, if you have 2 points of interest like this, you can actually still take your trades if you have a confirmation entry. Okay, if there is a confirmation entry, you can actually take your trade from the first point of interest. So looking at this particular trade, As you can see, if we have any trader that decides to take an aggressive sell trade from this zone, that person would have been stopped out because this candle reached above this supply zone. Okay, so that's why confirmation entries are very, very important during times like this when you have double points of interest. Okay, so moving on. Also, if you are to mark out your structure from this last low back up to where we have this particular point of interest now, you will see that market has broken above lower highs, various lower highs. This was taken out. This was also taken out for us to get up into this level. Okay. When price was moving up from here, I would have expected that price will return back into this demand zone because we have imbalance right here. So when price pushed up above this level or above this level, I would have expected some kind of retracement back down into like this zone, okay? Or if not totally down into that zone, probably like the 50% of this imbalance, at least to this 50%, okay? But price didn't do that. Price went ahead and mitigated this zone. So now, because this zone was left unmitigated, I will be expecting that price will still return back to this zone in the future. Okay. So moving forward now, how can we capitalize on the fact that we know that there is imbalance to be filled there and market has not yet done that? So how we can capitalize on that with that in mind is to look for confirmation entry from points like this to trade the market back into this demand level or into this imbalance that we have right here. Okay. So now I will cut the chart and we'll try to get an entry, how we could have been able to get an entry in order to take trades back into these points of interest right here. Okay, so moving down now to the lower time frame, I'll be going down to the 30 minutes time frame. So now let's take, for example, this zone has been taken out and we are now looking for what to trade. As you can see, once we ran through this supply zone, market dropped immediately. This drop might be due to a news release, I don't know, but it can be whenever we have huge massive candles like this. Mostly it's because of news releases, okay? So now, as you can see, this dropped massively and we broke structure, okay? We broke this structure right there because this is the higher low that gave us this last higher high, last push, and now we're broken below, signifying that market is trying to push down. And not just this low that was taken, we also took out this low as well, right there. So this gives us like the extra confirmation that markets really wants to push down. So having this in mind that we've broken this structure now, this now becomes our last high. And until this high is in, if this high is not broken above, that means our short is actually confirmed, okay? If this high is not taken out, this high mustn't be taken out if we are to push lower, okay? So now, since we have this break of structure now, we are now looking for a sell trade. All we need to do is to wait for a price to return back into this supply zone. And as you can see, market left behind a supply zone right here. Just right there, there's this supply zone where we can now actually take our sell trade from, okay? And where will our target be? Our target is for this higher time frame demand and imbalance that we already have marked out. And just with that, we can see that we have some set of lows right here, equal lows, than the liquidity lies below. Okay, I have a video explaining liquidity at equal lows like this. You can watch the video if you are yet to do that. So this now assists to have more confirmation for the market to push down. Okay, so we got into our trade right here with our stop loss at this particular high. But there's another thing to put in mind. Okay, why trading? Why trading? You need to have where your stop loss will be. Okay, not will be, I mean, you need to know the value that you must not go above. Okay, maybe in your trading rules, you don't go beyond 20 pips, maybe you don't go beyond 30 pips, I don't know. So you have to choose what you don't go beyond. Though lately, I tried to kind of relax my rules. Okay, a lot has really changed in my trading, to be honest. Before, I don't go beyond 15 to 16 pips, but whenever I have a confirmation entry and my other block or supply or demand zones is still above 15 or 16 pips, maybe 18, 19 or 20, I now trade such zones. Okay, I now trade such zones because I realized I missed out on a lot of trades just because I have this value that I don't want to go above in my trading rules. Okay, so try to backtest. When you backtest, you'll be able to see what is really going on charts, where you need to adjust your rules, what you need to remove from your rules, or what you need to add to your rules. Okay, so looking at this zone now, and there are some pairs that actually has big pips, even if you have confirmation entry. GBPJPY is one of them. To get small pips for stop loss is actually quite tasking on GBPJPY. Okay, so now, as you can see, this zone now is almost about 60 pips, which is actually too much. But for some traders, they may decide to take it. So it's left for you to decide. I don't like to dictate to anyone. That's why my videos are just about what I do. That doesn't necessarily mean you should do the same thing. Okay, my videos are here to help you out in your trading as well. So seeing this zone now, I can easily move down to the lower time frame to try to see if this zone can be how do I put it now, if this zone can still be refined. Okay, but as you can see, there's really nothing left at this particular zone. There's really nothing left. So another thing you can now do is you can actually wait for extra confirmation entry at this zone if you know this zone is too wide for you to take trade. Then another thing you can do is actually you can reduce the lot size you always use. Okay, let's take for example, you always risk 1% on your account, and you don't go beyond 10 pips or 15 pips. What you need to do is still risking the same 1%. You can use the position size calculator to get the lot size you will use, even with for the fact that this is about 60 pips. That's if you want to take it. So but for me, I wouldn't want to take this trade. So at this point in time, I'll be waiting for extra confirmation at this point. So also, as you can see, on this particular day, this is the Asian range that we have on this particular day. This is the high and this is the low. So on this particular day, if I was on the chart, I'll be waiting for one of these range high or low to be taken out before I then start to look for possible entries. So as you can see, the Asian range high liquidity was taken out during the London session. It was taken out, and as you can now see, we have a break of structure right here. This is the last low that gave us this last push. Market broke below it, and now leaving us behind with this supply zone right here. Let's see the 15 minutes time frame if the zone is more clear. Yeah, this zone is clear. So at this point in time, I would take my sell entry because market really pushed down a lot, broke this, and now we have the Asian low to be taken, that is yet to be taken. So now I can now confidently take this sell trade. I can have my stop loss at this high or at this body close. Because this is GBPJPY, even with confirmation entries, your your stop loss might still be big. And sometimes if you say you should have a tight stop loss, you might end up being stopped out or miss out on the trade. So if I was in this trade, I will try to reduce my lot size and have my stop loss at this particular high right here. And for take profits, okay, so for the take profits, as you remember, we have this low to be targeted. But trust me, I do not stay too long on trades. So each day during the London session, New York session, I want to find trades that intraday trades that I can get into and get out of the trade. So on this particular day, if I was in trade, I'll be looking to take my profit at this demand and imbalance right there. Okay, so let's play. Let's see what we have right there. As you can see, markets came back and markets cleared out the Asian range low. Okay, so if I was in this trade at this particular point, when I'm seeing this reversal, I might decide to close out partials out of this trade and move my stop loss now into break even at this level. Okay, so why am I taking partials? I'm taking partials because the Asian range low was cleared, and sometimes once liquidity is being cleared, price tends to return back, reverse back. Okay, so this is now another point of interest where you could take another trade from. But since I'm still holding some position, I might decide not to take any trade from here. I may just leave the rest of my position to run, but you can actually have another entry at this point right here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is another day. So this is what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so continuation trades sometimes are kind of can be tricky sometimes. Okay, so you want to make sure you are getting in and out of those of your trade in a day. That's why for me, I love intraday setup. Okay, I want to be in and out in a day. Okay, so as you can see, the partials that I was able to take here was good because price later reversed back and my break even was it right here. Okay, so let's continue. So this was another day. Okay, this was for another day, and so this where this particular trade ended. So we are already out of this trade. So this is another day. What do we have again in the market? So as you can see, market cleared out this high, took out liquidity right here. So taking our market pushed more into this zone, but yet last structural high is yet to be taken. And then again, we can see we cleared the Asian range high, and once we have the Asian range high cleared, we have the Asian range low liquidity that is yet to be grabbed, and overall we still have that point of interest right here that we are targeting. Okay, so now at this point, I will decide to take a sell trade from right here because now we've broken below this structure here. Okay, so let's see if we get tapped in. So this is about 18 pips, but to be safe, we can have it at this last high right here. And now targeting this, still targeting this imbalance to be filled now this time around. Okay, so let's see if we got tapped into this trade. Okay, yeah, so price tapped in, not properly, but if you are on the chart, you can easily get your market execution in because then we'll have our alert set probably at this point. So this is yet another day, and actually, if I was on the chart on this day too, I'll be waiting for the Asian range high to be taken out at this point in time before I get into any sell trades. Okay, so let's see, that got tagged, and you can see, so this is why sometimes you don't need to have a tight stop loss. Okay, let your trades breathe, give them breathing room. I always mention this every time. Okay, so you can see this stop loss that we have here ended up protecting this trade. Okay, So if we add the stop loss right here, would have been stopped out, and as you can see, take profit is smashed right here. Okay, so this is another this is for another day. Okay, so moving forward now, you can see market came back up again, and I think I was on the charts during this time now. I think I was on the charts at this particular point. So where is the next possible place you could have been, you could probably take another trade from? As you can see now, we've now broken below a lot of lows. We've taken out this low right here, and this is another supply zone that we can take a sell trade from. Okay, this is another zone we can take a trade from. Okay, so but as you can see right here, we also broke structure right here, broke this structure right here, and price is presently mitigating this zone for a sell trade. Okay, this particular zone is being mitigated presently, but I don't think I would like to take any trade right here because of this imbalance that is there and this unmitigated supply zone that is right here. Okay. Overall, now you can see that we are now kind of switching into a bearish move. Okay. So let's continue playing. So as you can see now, this is a trade that happened one day. Because it's the Asian session, this is London session open, and this sell trade took place. And but I wouldn't have taken this trade. I don't know, because price didn't actually grab the Asian range high. Okay, so but if I was monitoring this pair, I'll be looking to trade a sell at this particular point. Sorry about that. Okay, so another thing to put in mind to note is that there are times when price has mitigated a particular zone over and over and over again, price will likely not return back into that zone, because as you can see at this point of interest, we've had so many mitigations at this particular price, so many mitigations. Okay, so price may not return into this supply zone, and as you know, not all zones will be mitigated every time for you to get a trade from. These zones will be, there are some zones that will be left unmitigated for future purposes, because these particular zones are zones later on, if you take a buy trade, for example, now that you can then take your profits at. Okay, so there are zones that won't be mitigated at a particular point. Okay, so now keeping that in mind, if I'm to sell, I'll be waiting for, I will try to get the 50% of this imbalance right here. Okay, why am I doing this? Just like I explained earlier, I'm doing this because price may not return into this zone. Okay, so at this particular time, I may be looking at this 50% to take a sell trade from. Okay, so let's move forward now. Okay, okay, so okay, so at this point in time, okay, I think on this particular day, I actually did take a sell trade from right here. I did take a sell trade. Yes, I can remember. Okay, still having this point of interest in mind. Okay, and that's 50% of this zone. Still having it, and my alert says, I think on this particular day, I took a sell trade right here. And why did I do that? I took a sell trade because one, the Asian range I was taken out. We had the Asian range taken out. The Asian range low also was also taken out at this point in time. So giving us a break of structure. So we had this break of structure, and market returned back to mitigate the supply zone that caused the break of structure. Okay, so I got into a sell trade right here. Okay, so this why I took this trade was just because of the Asian range liquidity grab, okay? And for take profits, I actually, let me go to the higher time frame now. Okay, and for my take profit was for this level, not even the total higher time frame that we have marked out, because like you know, I always like to be in and out in a day. Okay, this would have mean that I will have to hold the trade for this. So I think on the 45 minutes time frame now, I was able to get an entry here because of this break of structure and because of this Asian range high liquidity grab, and my take profit, this low was taken, and this demand zone was my take profit, the imbalance of this demand zone, and I was able to take profit on this trade. Okay, so that's it for the sell. So now, as you can see, price eventually, after taking my profit, price eventually eats this price eventually eats this zone that we've have marked out since the beginning of this particular trade right there. So for swing traders, if you're a swing trader watching this video, if you've gotten your sell entry from here, and we know that price is headed for these 3 hour points of interest, this 3 hour point of interest, you would have held your trade from this high right here down to this level. But I doubt if you still be in this trade, because at this particular point where we had a break of structure right here, okay, okay, at this particular point when we broke structure right here, you may likely have moved your stop loss into break even, and now price came back multiple times. But if you are not the type that quickly moves stop loss to break even, then probably you would still be in this trade. Okay, so that's it for this trade. So moving on now, we can see that this zone is a demand zone that was left unmitigated when we had this whole push to the upside, right? So now that price has gotten into this zone, I actually did have this zone for buy trades for a buy setup, but I was unable to catch the buy because price didn't mitigate my point of interest. We didn't get that lower time frame confirmation entry. So as you can see right here, price, we actually, if we should mark out the structure down here, you can see that when this lower high was taken out, markets pushed up and didn't return back. I was expecting price to push back into this zone before we take buy trades, but market didn't return, and that doesn't mean the analysis wasn't correct, but I couldn't have taken an aggressive buy entry from right here because this was about 74 pips. This other block, this demand zone was 74 pips in stop loss, which was way too much. Okay, so price moved, and that was how I missed out on all of these buy. So I missed out on all of this buy, and eventually price tapped into that supply zone that we have marked out since um since 10th of August. Okay, so markets ended up coming into this zone. So how could you have capitalized on this zone now? This zone now has taken out structure to the downside. Okay, it has taken out structure to the downside. Price has now returned back into it. So you can either take an aggressive sell entry from this zone, because now when price pushed all the way from right here to this zone, market left inefficiencies in the market. We have this imbalance and demand zone that was left unmitigated. Then we have these candles that were just bullish candles. There were no presence of bearish candle, indicating that there's imbalance and inefficiency in price action right here. So market has the tendency to push back down into all these levels. So you could have capitalized on this unmitigated supply zone to take a sell trade. And if this zone was too big for you to take a sell trade, you could have waited for a confirmation entry. And that was what I did at this particular point, even though I got a late entry into the sell, but it was still a good entry. So what did I do? I waited for, at this particular point, my alert was set for this point of interest. Price came and I was waiting for confirmation entry. And as you can see, I was lucky I wasn't on the chart at this particular point, because if I was on the chart, this was a break of structure for me and I would have taken a sell entry at this particular point. And if I had taken a sell entry at this particular point, I would have been stopped out with this candle. So there are sometimes we miss out on, there are sometimes we are not on the chart, and it's actually a good thing for us. Okay, so but as you can see later on, I think when I got on the chart, now I can see that the Asian range high has been taken. Now we are left with the Asian range low, and we have all of this imbalance to be filled at this point. So looking for a sell trade was actually a sorry looking for a sell trade was actually a good thing at this point. So let me cut okay, no need to cut. So all we need to do is just look for confirmation. So let's assume we had this entry and we started looking for a sell trade and we got stopped out here. So let's assume we had one losing trade right here. That sometimes that may happen. We have a losing trade here, but for someone that has the stop loss at this high, you will still be in the trade. So let's say we are stopped out at this particular point. All we need to do is wait for another entry. So now this is now the last low that gave us this last high that mitigated this zone properly. So all we need to do is wait for this zone to be taken out. And as you can see, this low was taken out and price left behind a zone with imbalance right here. This candle was left behind with imbalance right here, that we could now take our sell entry from. And for stop loss now, if this sell is actually going to be valid, then this last high must not be invalidated. Okay, this zone, this last high must not be invalidated. So now we can easily set our sell limit at this point, have our stop loss right here. As you can see, this stop loss is actually huge. This is about 50 pips. So what I would have done if I was in this, if I was to take this trade, or if I took this trade, my stop loss would be moved to like this extent. Okay, I try to look for how I can try to reduce my stop loss. Okay, so I might likely have it at the body close of this candle and have my stop loss right here, but definitely I won't have it right here. I won't have it right here because price can push with wicks and spikes, and even spreads can take you out. I got stopped out of a trade, I think it was it this week, because of spread. Actually, the trade was actually correct, but I got stopped out because of spread. So if I was to take this trade, or I can't remember, if I took this trade, my stop loss would have been at this body close, because this was giving about 50 pips in stop loss. And since we already have a break of structure at first here, we have this second break of structure. I'll definitely trust this trade. And so now for take profits, my take profits can either be at this level of demand right here, at this level, or at this overall level. But trust me, I think I will be out of the trade at this first level, because this will mean that this is like a trade for a day right here. I'll be out at this level. And even for partials, I'll be taking out my partials once this Asian range low is being taken out at this particular point. I'll make sure I've taken partials. And as you can see, we've also broken structure, a nice structural low, because this low gave us the last push into this zone. So this is a break of structure. So now I can move my stop loss into break even at this point. So this will be a risk-free trade for me. If price comes back up, so be it. And let's continue to play. So as you can see, markets didn't actually move back to this particular break even. So that reminds me now, I remember now, I did not take this particular sell. I wasn't on this GJ chart at this particular point. I think I remember now, this was the sell that I took. This right here was the sell that I took on this particular trade. Okay, so moving on now. Why did I take this sell? I took this sell because you can see we had a break of structure from the last low that got into this point of interest, and not just that, we also took out all of this low, and just below price did not properly get into this level of imbalance of demand that we have right there. So there we have reasons to short, and also on this particular day we can see with the Asian range indicator, price took out the Asian range high, and most times when we take out one side of the market will go to take out the other side of the Asian range. Okay, so I got into a sell trade at this point. Let me move down to the 15 minutes time frame. Okay, I was targeting this supply right here, but I didn't set a limit. This was the supply I was looking to short. Price went above it, good thing for me. And once price starts to move down, once we add this candle print, I market executed a sell trade on this candle right here, this particular retracement back up. Why did I take the sell right here? I took the sell because we broke this last low on the 5 minutes time frame. Now this is a minor break of structure. Minor break of structure because this is a small a low that gave us this last high. Now we're broken below it and we have a little retracement. Okay, so now this becomes my new supply zone. This right here became my new supply zone, and I got into a sell trade and market executed a sell from right here, and my take profit was for this right here. And was that take profit it? Yes, it was it. And though overall so this was how I was able to get into this sell trade. So at this particular point, when we took out the Asian range low, I moved my stop loss into profit. Okay, I moved my stop loss into profit because I wasn't comfortable with the fact that I had my entry at this point. I wasn't comfortable with it, so I moved my stop loss into profit at this point, and I took some partials at this level right here, then moved my stop loss into profit, and I was whipped out. I think I later got whipped out of the trade. Okay, this was where I moved my stop loss into right here. Okay, so at this particular point, when we took out the Asian range low and broke this, I moved my stop loss into this high right here, and I was stopped out. Though actually, I should have moved my stop loss into break even and not at this high, because this is the first break of structure. So my stop loss was supposed to go into break even, but because my entry was not the best for me, I didn't like my entry, so that was why I moved it right here, and I got stopped out. Yeah, you can see market stopped me out and I was out of the trade, and market ended up going into my take profit price. Take profit was it with that one. So that was the trade. So you can see how we are able to kind of backtest and see what price has been doing so far. So as you can see, even my take profit was not, if I was still holding this trade, my take profit was not it at this particular point. Price came back on another day. Let me clean this out now. Price came back after we broke this low. That's why you need to follow the trend. Make sure when you are trading, you follow the trend. As you can see, we have a break of structure here and price reverse back. Okay, so I think this happened during Asian session, you can say, and I do not trade during Asian session. Asian session is night time in my country, so I don't trade Asian session. Okay, so this retracement happened during the Asian session, and but if it was during the London or the New York session, this I would have taken a sell trade from right here. Okay, because to we are yet to um, tap our take profit zone and even to this very last demand zone that we have right here. Okay, so but it was Asian session and I couldn't get into a trade, and also this is some set of equal lows that will be cleared later on, so we have incentive for price to still push lower. I think this later happened during the New York session, during the London session. This sell, but I wasn't able to get into a trade. This actually presented us with a confirmation entry, but this was risky. Why was it risky? Because we have the Asian range high printed here, and also if we go down to this 15 minutes time frame, we can see that we still have our unmitigated supply zone right here. So taking a sell right here was kind of risky for me. So I was actually hoping, I was on the chart on this particular day and I was hoping for this liquidity right here to be grabbed and I should sell from here. But as you can see, I missed out on that particular sell because price didn't take out the Asian range high. Okay, so and the take profit that we have since right here was finally it. Okay, so news came and yesterday there was news and this zone was actually, let's move down to the 15 minutes time frame, and I think this zone was eventually tapped with the news release. Okay, so this continued. As you all know, you cannot trade every time because markets might not create a good opportunity, so eventually this final demand was actually tapped, and now market tapped this demand. I was actually on the chart on this particular time and there was a confirmation entry to go long, because if we mark out this structure, market tapped into a demand from the left right here. Normally, we should wait for a confirmation entry instead of taking an aggressive entry, especially if the zone is big. And as you can, okay, this is actually not big for GBPJPY. This is a 28 piece, but I didn't get into a buy. I was actually waiting for a confirmation entry, but I still missed out on the confirmation entry because I didn't kind of like the price action like that. So we had a break of structure right there, and price came back to mitigate this zone. So this was the demand zone with imbalance that could have gotten a buy trade from. But I think I was focusing on my EU and GU trade at this particular point. Okay, so this was the confirmation entry. And for take profit, if you were to take this trade, your take profit now should be at this Asian range high for the liquidity above this Asian range high to be taken out. Okay, so if I was on this trade, I'll be aiming for this imbalance right here to be taken out and this Asian range high to be taken out. And at this particular point, I might even take some partials out at this level right here, because as you can see right here, we have a mini supply zone right here with imbalance, and this supply zone was responsible for a break of structure right here, this zone. So price could reverse from here, we can never say. So I might take partials from my trade at this point, then I move my stop loss into break even or even into profit at this level to secure some profit. Okay, so let's continue. that was it, and price reversed from this level, this take profit. So this is why your entries and exits are also very important. Know where you are getting into trades and know where you are exiting. You want to be exiting at strategic places, imbalance fill, supply zones, and demand zones. You can see as market tapped into this zone, we had a rapid pushback down. Okay, so let's go to the higher time frame. Let's clear this out now. So okay, so this was actually the yesterday during the news release. This zone that caused the break of structure right here was eventually mitigated, and we had this drop. Okay, so moving on now, I didn't catch the drop on this particular trade. But this morning, Wednesday, I was able to catch a sell trade. I was able to catch a sell trade. Let's move down to the 15 minutes time frame. Okay, now, so because as you can see, we tapped this zone and now we are pushing down. Okay, liquidity was cleared right here. We tapped into this zone, and for confirmation entry to continue this sell, we had a break of structure right here, and price came back to mitigate this supply zone right here, giving us a sell opportunity to take price low. Okay, so by this point in time, this morning when I got to the chart, market was at this point this morning. You can see this is the end of the Asian session, and this morning market was pushing up, and I was thinking, will this be cleared out totally, or has price decided to use this demand zone to start buying all the way up? So I was wondering, and my bias on and my bias this morning on GJ was for buys actually. So now Asian range low has been cleared, so there is possibility for price to push into this level. So I was actually looking for buy trades. Okay, so I got into a buy trade, and later on something just striking to me that okay, I was stopped out. I actually got into a buy trade because I thought this had mitigated this one, and we have a break of structure here. We also have a break of structure here, and also I was viewing this as a trend line liquidity that needs to be grabbed. Okay, so it makes sense for me to look for a buy trade. Okay, so once we broke this particular lower high and market came down, I had a buy for this zone right here. I'm looking for a buy trade. No, when I got into a buy, it was at this point. Okay, I was looking for a buy trade from this point, and I ended up getting a loss from this trade because I thought this zone will hold for me to then take longs to clear this Asian range high and fill up this imbalance that was right there. But I was stopped out. Then I decided to, okay, what's happening on the chart? What is exactly happening? Then I was able to then change my bias and, oh, okay, let me see what's going on. So I then saw this as a break of structure right here. Saw this as a break of structure instead of seeing this mitigation as a demand zone mitigation. I saw this as a break of structure, and this pullback during the London session was just a pullback to retest the break of structure that happened here. Okay, so now I realized this was what price was doing. So market kind of found a supply at this point. Okay, and now as you can see, I was stopped out at this level, so I then saw this as a break of structure. Okay, so it was then when market now came back into this level. So at this particular point, when I was trying to reanalyze the charts, this was a break of structure. This had already mitigated this zone. So it was then it clicked in my brain that we are actually going to sell, not buy. Okay, so this was a break of structure. Then I saw this as more liquidity to be grabbed. Okay, saw this as more liquidity to be grabbed, and I was able to then market execute a sell, I think from right here, and my stop loss at this level. Okay, so I got into a sell trade, and my take profit was still at this zone right here, because then my overall bias was still for a buy. Okay, and I did not know what price can do from this zone. Actually, never can tell we can get any faster, so I took a buy trade down into this level, and from right here I took a sell trade, I mean, into back into this demand level right here, and my take profit was it, and I was out of the market at this particular point. I think when the market was trying to reverse, I think I got out of the trade somewhere around this zone, but though the market still later pushed down again. But later on, I removed GJ from my watch list. I'm like, I am done for the day on GJ, because I try to do this to sometimes when I'm able to catch a particular bias on a particular pair. Once my take profit is tapped, I try to leave that particular pair so as not to be over trading. Okay, so but later on we add a buy from here actually. So let me clear this chart now. So like I said earlier, this demand zone was a great demand zone to buy from, because then looking to the left now, let me clear all of these. So looking to the left, we price has returned back into this demand, and after this has been mitigated, we broke structure at this level. Okay, we broke structure at this level, so signifying that when price came back to this demand level, we might likely have a buy. And yes, we did have that buy, but I was not on the chart anymore, and we had confirmation entry. So this was the lower high that gave us this lower low. Price broke above it, and price came back to mitigate the demand zone that we have right here. We have a confirmation entry for this buy trade, but I was not on the chart. So even if I had taken, I would have had my stop loss at this level right here, which was about 17 pips. And for take profits, I will probably be targeting, let me see, I might decide to probably take some partial at this point. This is about 30 pips, and have the rest of my trade running probably to this level, because then we still have this Asian range high to be taken out. But we don't know how far price can go. Seriously, to be honest, if I was in it to trade, I'll take some profit out at this point. Then I'll watch what price do and probably get out of the rest of my trade at this particular point and be done for the day. Okay, so let's continue with this. Let's see how far price can go. Okay, as you can see, presently price has gotten to this high, and presently, now that I'm recording this video, it's almost 5 p.m. my country time, and at this particular time I'm always done trading for the day. Okay, so if I actually got into this GJ buys, I will be out of this trade at this particular point. Okay, and maybe till the next day to find another great opportunity to catch another trade. Okay, so this will be all on the case study on GBPJPY. We are able to backtest. As you can see, I explaining to you, just by explaining to you, I was able to see some opportunities that I myself should have been able to take if I was actually on the chart of this particular pair, GBPJPY. But there are sometimes you can't catch all moves, because there are some moves that actually happen during the sessions that you don't trade. For example, now I don't trade the Asian session. There are a lot of moves on GJ, because the JPY belongs to the Asian session. So there are a lot of moves during the Asian session on GJ as well. Okay, so I will Urge you to try to backtest on any pair of your choice, backtest on it, see how price move, follow price cycle, follow price trend. You can see at this particular point on GK how we were able to follow the sell down to this region just by knowing where price was headed from the higher time frame. We knew there was a demand zone here that needs to be mitigated. We were able to catch a sell from right here down to this particular point. Okay. So that'll be all on this video. I hope to record more videos for you to learn from and apply some in your trading as well. Okay. This is SMC. This is what I use, and there are times I do have losses. There are times I have losses like back to back and back to back, not as if I don't follow my rules, not as if I don't wait for confirmation entries, but as you all know, we only can try to predict the movement of the market. Nobody can say 100% where the market is going. Okay, we can only just follow the trend, predict, and wait for our confirmations to get the trades. Okay, that'll be all for this video. I hope this video was beneficial to you. If you have any question, please leave them below in the comment section. I'll definitely reply to them, and you can always message me on Telegram at Law. I will always reply to your questions. All right, guys, you can check my other videos out as well. They are all educational. If you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel, and that will be all for now.